Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt Crew podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, and Mario Heron. Hey, what happened to our intro?
Dude, Josh, do you want to explain it or do you want me to explain it?
You go ahead.
All right. So the intro, we got dinged by the great people at YouTube for the music on it. We had to provide all the paperwork for it, in which that we did. It's under review. So once it gets reviewed and gets passed, we should be all good. But just out of being safe and, wanting the video, our YouTube to stay in the algorithm and stay getting views and hits, not get hidden, we are just going to hold on it and wait until all the paperwork gets processed, and then we'll have it back in. It will be available on the podcast. That's available everywhere you got podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever the hell you get it, where we'll be on it, and you'll hear it there. But to start through YouTube, it will not be there. So sorry in advance, apologies. Sometimes technology is a little tough.
All right. Well, there you go. Okay. So many people liked it, man. So we will plan on
That's
bringing it
great.
back.
It's fantastic.
Just got to go through the right channels on how everything works. All right. So again, here we are. Thanks for joining us again on today's show. Again, we're live 1:00 Pacific time talking Charger football. I'll tell you right now, the schedule for Thursday, make sure I got this right. It's 12:00 Pacific time this Thursday only. Correct, Josh?
Yeah, just this Thursday.
Okay. So just to give you guys a heads up. So it'll be an hour earlier on Thursday when we get things going. All right. So a lot going on, obviously, with the NFL. I mean, a lot going on with the NFL. And the Chargers obviously wrapped up their draft like everyone else. Draft grades come out, whatever you guys want to think about draft grades. I've been around long enough to know that these grades don't mean anything. The guys who hand these grades are people who obviously aren't qualified to work for NFL teams. These are guys that either were people that never were employees of NFL teams or guys that were fired from NFL teams that give out draft grades. But we're always curious to know, what do people think? We always talk about opinions, and we all know the story about opinions. But as far as the Chargers wrapping up their draft, I want to start, guys, actually with the Chargers before we get to what was the national big story. Okay. And as the Chargers wrapped up their draft, I'm gonna give you, my guy that I'm extremely excited about. Okay. We're gonna do a bunch of guys, but I'm just gonna tell you right now, the pick that I was happy that they got as a person who watches a lot of college football. We all talked about Hampton on Thursday night. We're all happy about that. All three of us liked it. It was the fourth round. It was at pick 125. It was getting Kyle Kennard from South Carolina, the edge rusher. For me, was the pick that I really liked. And people go, who the hell's that guy? Well, if you watch SEC football, like I watch like a maniac, and I never leave the house, that guy's a disruptive force. Like, I was really surprised, actually, he was there. When you talk about guys that sometimes are just football players, and not guys that maybe, they aren't the size that you think of about being an edge rusher of the Joey Bosa size player, but a guy that when you watch, you go, who is this guy? And this guy's a thorn in our side because he's in on like every disruptive play. That was this guy when he played for South Carolina this year. He was a lot of fun to watch. I believe he started at Georgia Tech, ended up at South Carolina. And it really, I thought, was an outstanding pick. And I think the Charger front office is different now from what we've had in the past, where you're going, are they just trying to show off how smart they are by pulling a guy out of the hat that no one's talking about? Or are they going for guys that are difference makers, guys who actually can disrupt a football game and make things happen on the defensive side of the ball? I love that pick. In the fourth round, I was surprised he was there.
SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Chargers desperately needed some youth at that position, and they got it. And like Dave said, a highly productive player from a big-time conference. I love the pick as well. And we're going to talk about other picks, but Kyle Kennard is a highly productive player that's going to make plays for this Chargers team, I believe. If you could pair him with Thule with years to go, I think that'd be great, because Khalil Mack only has maybe 1 or 2 years left, and then he's probably going to retire. And then Bud Dupree, he's pretty much on the way out as well. So I love the pick. I think that's definitely a steal in the mid rounds.
Big steal. The one thing I love about Kyle is outside the sacks, 23 hurries, 15.5 tackles for loss, and the growth that he showed go from Georgia Tech to South Carolina. If you can make that big of a jump and show that much of improvement, and then even come down to the fact where you're named the best defensive player in the conference, then what's going to happen when that guy's around some of the best coaches in the NFL on the defensive side that we have with Jesse Minter. What's going to happen when he's given Jim Harbaugh, given everything that you kind of get as an NFL player? I'm excited to see what he becomes. Not to mention, guys, he's going to learn from Mac. He's going to learn from Thule. He's going to get everything he needs to be a successful football player. I'm excited for him, man. I'm excited to see what he can do in his rookie season. And we're really going to need him to step up. And, if he can pan out and can be huge for us, then that's going to be a draft pick that we talk about for years to come because of the need.
All right. So again, it sounds like we did zero prep as I'm throwing the topics out, but because I'm just kind of catching these guys off guard. I'm gonna throw two things at both you guys. Let's see how good my memory is. So Alabama football, we talk more than I know most of you guys think we should. But I'll say this: if I'm not mistaken, Josh, Alabama had a game where I think they lost the week before South Carolina this year. They played at home against South Carolina. This is one of those where Mario comes in because I'm sure Mario said Alabama's going to get payback and let's bet the Tide and probably put a ton of money on the Tide to cover this spread against South Carolina. And the reason that game was so close and Alabama almost lost that game was because of Kyle Kennard. Am I right on this? Is my memory right, Josh?
I'd have to go through his game log to tell you that information because I don't really remember a lot from last season. I do remember going into that game, he was a point of emphasis. If you want to beat South Carolina, you have to slow him down. He moves at a faster pace than other guys in the league. His game against Alabama, he was great. He had two sacks. He had 7 tackles overall. If you look at his game log from last season, it's consistent with his numbers. I mean, it looks like he's getting a sack in almost every game. He has 11.5 on the year. SEC Defensive Player of the Year. For the 20-something year in a row. The SEC has had the most draft picks again. They broke the record this year with 67. I think that's because they added Texas and Oklahoma to the conference. It's just unbelievable. When you have a guy from a conference like the SEC that wins Player of the Year, you have to imagine it's going to translate to some degree to the NFL.
I can't believe, Dave, you would bring that out of me of one of the biggest gambling hurts of the college football season of betting Bama to cover that freaking spread. Yeah. You guys just decided to lay an egg.
I was just assuming. You're like, Alabama lose back-to-back games.
No
Alabama
way.
At home, I'm taking Alabama big time.
I literally remember that so well, just going, this is the easiest bet of my life. It was one of those where I bet it and I already celebrated.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Dang it.
That's it. So anyway, I gave you my top pick at the Charger picks. Is there someone else that stands out for you guys that you go, all right, that's either a good position to draft or a player that I saw in college and I'm happy they got him?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Trey Harris, our second-round pick from Ole Miss, is that type of body. He has the body type that we need, right? He's a taller receiver. He's a guy that can go up and get the ball. One of my biggest knocks on the Chargers has been without Mike Williams. I know we have him back this year, but last season without Mike Williams, we really don't have anybody on the roster that's going to go up and get the ball. Even though QJ is 6'4", it's not his type to jump up and make plays like Mike Williams did and grab it off of their helmets. I mean, that's just not the player he is. Trey Harris is that player. Fun fact, he was Malik Neighbors' high school quarterback. Trey Harris was. Talk about an athletic high school. You're like, dude, go out, go play some receiver. How about Malik Neighbors throws you the ball? But Trey Harris, also a highly productive player. If you want to throw a couple knocks at him, not extremely fast. He's not a speedster, but he's a guy that has great hands and he makes a lot of plays. He also missed part of last season due to injury. But when he did play, he was phenomenal. He led the FBS with 128.8 receiving yards per game last season. That is just absolutely unbelievable. He posted his only 1,000-yard season. He caught 60 passes for 1,030 yards and 7 touchdowns in a little bit more than half the games, I believe. He was just absolutely fantastic for Ole Miss and Jackson Dart. So I think he can be a guy that makes a lot of plays for the Chargers, and you expect him to, Mario, right? You got a second-round receiver in Ladd McConkey. That was your best receiver. You expect Trey Harris to be in the top 3 for sure.
I love that he played 8 games this past season, so had over 1,000 yards receiving. And you can point towards it's a Lane Kiffin offense, and they pushed the ball downfield. It's still a pretty good achievement and pretty impressive that he was able to do that. Huge fan of the pick, and you mentioned it. I had confidence right away in him, going like, oh, he's gonna be like an All-Pro. He's gonna be like in the Pro Bowl just because of Vlad and how big of a hit that was this past year with Trey. But I really was a big fan of that. I'm going to go kind of nuts with this. So get on the roller coaster and get ready. Strap in. Orande, the Syracuse tight end.
Yeah.
I kind of like it because it's a little bit out of the ordinary for the Chargers, right? He's a very big tight end. He's similar to Trey Harris, and he attacks the football. 6'5". He's kind of like your perfect goal line guy. But the interesting thing that stood out to me was he's not a blocking tight end. Like, that was the biggest knock you saw on him over and over again. And even if you watch some of his games, it's this guy just doesn't care to block. He's a receiver blocking. If you guys don't know what that means, it's just they just don't care. It's like, please, just let me run him off and act like the corner just is not part of the play. But he could be a pretty serviceable weapon, Dave, in the passing game if he comes to fruition. He set school and ACC record with receptions this past year. He's a big slot guy. Maybe can be used in third down situations too. He had 500+ receiving yard games 2024. I'm not saying like he's going to come in, be tight end one, and lead the team in touchdowns, but maybe just with some development and over time, Orande can be pretty important for the Chargers, and it wouldn't surprise me. But interesting that kind of goes against of what Harbaugh would want in a tight end.
Yeah, they as said, they went and got a tight end, and I think a lot of people were surprised they waited so long to get one. I mean, a couple things the Chargers did that were surprising when you talk about position of need. Everyone's talking about offensive line. They didn't go crazy in free agency, so you figure they're going to try and fix things through the draft. Well, they waited till the 6th round, pick 199, which of course everyone knows is the Tom Brady number, 199, to get an offensive lineman, and they only got one. And it's kind of surprising. So when Joe Ortiz tells you over and over again, we really like our offensive line, and we're like, this guy's the worst BS artist we've ever met, he's serious. I mean, he is obviously serious where he really does like his offensive line. He's completely satisfied with what the Chargers have right now.
That's fine. I disagree 100% with that. We'll touch on that in a second. I just want to talk about Orande Gadsden II because his dad was an NFL player as well. Squeezy, who grinds my gears more than anybody in the comments, I agree with you 100%. He says, Orande is Ortiz's version of Isaiah Likely. They were both extremely similar college prospects, tall, wiry guys who had an ability to block and go up and get the ball. As Mario said, he is a terrible blocker. Like, do not expect this guy to block a little bit. He used to be a receiver who transitioned to a tight end. He's 6'5", and if you look at his highlights, this guy is an athletic freak. He's going to go up and get the ball and make plays for you, exactly what Justin Herbert needs. Picture Will Disley in your head, and he's the exact opposite. He's a pass-catching tight end who does not block. So I'm excited about that. Keandre Lambert-Smith. I'm just surprised how many guys the Chargers got, Mario, that are weapons for Justin Herbert. I love it. I'm a big fan of it. But Keandre Lambert-Smith is another receiver they got from Auburn who's transferred from Penn State. I love it, man. I love that, your boy Darius Davis might be on the way out. I don't know what's going to happen to him. Can't have 10 receivers on the roster. But I love that they're giving Justin Herbert some support. To talk about the offensive line, that'd be my one thing I would say I didn't like is that they waited to draft a guy in the later rounds, Branson Taylor, with the 199th pick in the 6th round. I wish they would have gotten guys sooner. I don't imagine Branson Taylor is going to get a lot of opportunities to play just because he's a 6th round pick. I don't know. I'm not going to say the Chargers had a bad draft. I think they had a very good draft. I wish they would have drafted an offensive lineman a little bit sooner, but overall, I love the draft.
I'm with you. Maybe it would have been better to kind of focus on that, but I think we've been preaching about this the whole time. We need weapons for Herbert. We need weapons, and they went and got 2 wide receivers, and they got arguably the second best running back. If this was a normal running back class, he'd be by far the best. And that, to me, Dave, is I go, well, I can't complain. And not to mention the receivers that they got. What does Lambert Smith and what does Trey Harris have in common? It's that they extend the living hell out of the field. That's huge. And that's something that Herbert does not have currently. You look at Lambert Smith, he had 5 catches of 50 yards or more, third most in FBS in 2024. Now, his route tree is very, very short, limited. It was a lot of hitch, and then a go route on top of it, but maybe they'll expand on that in a Greg Roman offense. But I like that they just went in the direction of what guys can we get that can fill the need of weaponry that we don't currently have. And, Mike Williams is a short-term solution, not a long-term solution. But these guys, Dave, I'm not saying cementedly they will be, but they could be for the Los Angeles Chargers.
All right. So is this the end of all the rumors that Keenan Allen's coming back?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Who was more disappointed this weekend, Keenan Allen or J.K. Dobbins?
Shedeur Sanders. Oh,
back on the Chargers side.
Well, J.K. Dobbins is tenured today. We're going to talk about that in a second. What?
Yeah, technically, he still has a place, but probably not.
I don't think he's going to be a Charger in 2025. But I mean, Chargers do have exclusive negotiating rights if no team signs him before training camp. Something to note of.
I think it's Keenan's pretty more pissed off. I mean, not Keenan. I would say JK is more pissed off. You think anyone's going to get more reps in Hampton? See it. No shot. Like these receivers, they're talented, but they could be a couple years away from being something special where you get Keenan, like, hey, mentor these guys. You're a Charger, you retire your jersey anyways. Just do it one more year. But for JK, it's like, buddy, here's a water cooler. Stand by it.
JK has to be, and look, this is a business like you wouldn't believe. It just shows you. I mean, the Chargers got everything they could out of JK. They got more to JK than the Ravens ever could dream of. And then he comes here and he was outstanding. He really did have a great year. Gus Edwards was a complete disappointment, but JK was great when he was healthy. And he was healthy more than I thought he was going to be. And the Chargers were like, you know what? We need something younger and more reliable. And we're going in another direction with 2 new backs. And this is the way it is. It is a business, and it is tough for athletes sometimes to realize what's going on. JK will find a job somewhere, and the Chargers hopefully end up with a compensatory pick for it. At the same time, I'm looking at videos today of Nick Chubb, who's sitting there doing nothing. If we look at Nick Chubb's workout videos, they look insane. I mean, he's jumping up, banging his head right through the ceiling, and he's squatting, looks like 9,000 pounds, and he looks better than ever. And he's sitting there saying, my journey is just beginning. I mean, Nick Chubb looks absolutely outstanding, yet does not have a job.
I would love to have Nick Chubb. And I know we already have 2 running backs. I'm all for it. If you want to add Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins, I think you can never – if you have 3 really good running backs, I think you're in a great spot, right? Especially with this Charger team who likes to run the ball. You can rotate them in and out. It would be a beautiful thing. For people in the comments here, math must not be your strong suit. Let me read off the receivers on the Chargers roster. Somebody count for me, okay? Ladd McConkey, QJ, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Mike Williams, Darius Davis, Trey Harris, Jalen Reagor. How many is that?
7.
Hey, somebody's getting cut, and you're not going to add Keenan Allen. I don't understand the Jalen Reagor thing at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think Jalen Reagor should be on an NFL roster, but he is. I would love to have Keenan Allen. I just don't think it's going to happen.
By the way, I'm kind of fine if it doesn't happen. I'm not going to be like really upset, put some holes in walls. My nephew asked for a fruit roll up and I yell back at him. I'm not going to be like that upset. It's going to be like, all right, we got guys that are kind of building in the receiver room. We don't really need a guy that we let go a year ago to come right back.
No, I didn't forget Brendan Rice. He's not going to make the team. Why do you guys even saying that? He didn't even play last year, and we didn't have any receivers last year, and he still didn't play. I would be beyond shocked if Brendan Rice makes the team. And you can say Gabston is almost a receiver because he can't block. They're going to put him out on receiving routes.
It's funny. I was walking with a buddy of mine this morning who's a Charger season ticket holder. And we're talking about sports, and he has 2 young kids, and he's kind of out of the loop. And he went to the University of Colorado, and so he was a Shedeur fan and all this. And I'm trying to update him on what happened because he's completely out of it. Like, what happened to you? I told him. Like, the guy literally used to have an apartment where he had stadium seating in his apartment just so you could see the screen to watch Sports Center and watch sporting events. How many people have stadium seating in their house? The guy had it all set up. Charger season ticket holder for 20-something years. Goes to Canton, Ohio to watch Charger players go in the Hall of Fame. Yet he's completely unaware of what's happening. So he says to me today, update me on what I need to know about the Chargers. And I do the best I can. And then he says to me, what is the most frustrating thing that you guys have to deal with when working on this show? And I go, our audience is great, but there's one thing that drives me crazy. It is the fact that I almost called you guys all mother effers right now, but it's the fact that you guys always tell us that Jerry Rice's kid deserves to play. Jerry Rice's kid can't play. That is what is the most frustrating thing going. We've been doing this for a year now. Look, all of us would love for Jerry Rice's kid to be outstanding. He's not. There aren't too many Ken Griffey Jr.'s out there where the son's actually really good. Go talk to Michael Jordan's kid or Magic Johnson's kid. I'm sorry, man. There are a lot of guys that just because you have the name doesn't mean you can play. And Jerry Rice's kid can't play. His wife had terrible genes. And that's what it is. It just didn't work out. One's a Hall of Famer and one was probably hot. That's the way it kind of worked out. And sorry, and this is what you got for the Chargers in that uniform. But damn, stop counting him as a guy we can rely on. Don't you think Jim Harbaugh would have played him? Or is it just his way of sticking it to the greatest receiver of all time? I'm never going to play your kid. Come on. What are we doing here?
Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Brendan Wright, I'm looking at the depth chart for what it's worth. He's like the 12th guy on this team. He's just not going to make the team. I'm sorry. I wish it would have worked out too. Chargers rookies announced their numbers. In case anybody missed it, I'll run through it real quick. Omarion Hampton is going to be number 8. Trey Harris is going to be number 9. Jamari Caldwell is going to be number 99. Kyle Kennard is going to be number 54. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 84. Aronde Gadsden, number 86. Branson Taylor, 71. RJ Mickens, 27. And Trick Bridges, number 31.
I love all the number stuff, by the way. Didn't you just say?
I knew you would say that.
Yeah, I'm a number guy, dude. I'm a nut. Okay, so hold on. Where did you say my guy from South Carolina is? What number? 54?
Yep.
Is that Melvin Ingram's number 2 when he came to the Chargers?
Damn right.
South Carolina? Look at that.
I think, dude, somebody correct me. Melvin Ingram was also the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, I believe.
Yeah, he was.
He was, right?
Yeah, the guy was a punter, too. He punted for South Carolina. He was a freak.
Yeah, he is a freak.
I can't wait for an 8 Hampton jersey. That's going to look sick. He's going to look really good as number 8. That sounded weird, but he is.
Yeah, I think it's a good number for running back.
It's a good number for running back.
There you go. I'm ready to go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Look at that, man. Pumped up.
Is there anyone you guys feel like they really missed out on?
No. Here's what I will say before you answer that question, Josh. Okay.
Yeah.
I like when guys draft players that consider quality players playing against quality competition because it seems like it makes the most amount of sense of anything else. So when I look at schools like North Carolina, Ole Miss, Oregon, South Carolina, Auburn, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Clemson, Florida, I'm in. That's where I'm at on that. When you go with big time schools that we've all heard of and not Florida A&M or our sisters or the sissies or wherever they're from, just sit there and pull this thing off. I like that they draft guys from schools that we've all seen on TV and we heard of big time programs. It's important to me. And if you look at all the really good teams, they all did the same damn thing. They all drafted big time schools. You notice?
You know whose draft this looks like? It's like the Baltimore Ravens draft.
It sure does.
Ravens draft exactly like this. It was a Ravens draft. We got mixed comments here. People are saying good draft. Some people are saying bad draft. Dave just asked the question, was there a pick that you felt you weren't hyped on? Or is that how you phrase it? You weren't excited about? Maybe you thought they should have went in a different direction. There was. And I'm not saying this guy's a bad player. I was just hoping for somebody else. The number 86 pick in the draft, Chargers took Jamari Caldwell in the 3rd round. He is the 3rd biggest player on the team. He's a defensive tackle. If you look up, what kind of player he is, he's a run stopper primarily, no pass rush. And it's not because I don't like him. It's because of the Poona Ford situation. We already had a guy that could do this, and we let him right out the door. And there was a pick that was taken right after him, about 5 to 10 picks after. It was Jared Wilson, the center for Georgia, who have a ton of Georgia fans. And they said, whoever gets Jared Wilson is getting an absolute beast. He is a center that can be interchangeable at the guard positions. He is a dog, no pun intended. He would be great for whatever team gets them. And I was just thinking Jared Wilson. And then we get Jamari Caldwell, who's primarily a run stopper. So that was the only time during the draft where I was a little bit like, kind of hurt, but I'm sure Jamar will be a good player.
With you on that one. The one that kind of hurt me, we would probably definitely have to trade up for him a little bit in the 2nd round to get him. But just because it was such a packed class, and it kind of feels like, in a way, I guess you could argue that back-to-back years we've just missed out on the position, but not getting a tight end earlier. I don't know if it's going to hurt the Chargers, but not like Mason Taylor was there. He got taken, I think, at 42 by the Jets. You'd have to move up at least to get him. But just getting a tight end, Dave, in this loaded of a class to be with Herbert for as long as possible, we missed that again. Just one more time we saw that go by. And, I know I gave love to Aronde, but again, 5th round pick, and there's a reason why you're a 5th round pick. There's a reason why you weren't taken in the first couple of rounds. So that one just hurt me a little bit. I was like, no tight end, really? We're just gonna wait out on that. Will Daisley and company. Okay.
So I don't want to see them waste years. I mean, we talk about that all the time about wasting years, especially when you have a quarterback in his prime. But, overall, remember what we said before this draft started. This was not supposed to be a very strong draft, compared to most. Whereas next year's draft is supposed to be absolutely insane, right? When you're talking about teams that are already stockpiling multiple number ones and all the talent supposed to be coming out in next year's draft. The fact that you didn't have to trade picks away from next year's draft to affect this year, maybe it was just the right move. That the talent just overall, when they know what's coming down the pipe, that this is the best thing to go. That they did. I don't have a lot of complaints right now. I mean, you picked 22 overall. You're picking back in every round because you had such a tremendous season of winning 11 games. I don't have a lot of complaints right now. I kind of want to see what Harbaugh and his staff does with these guys, and again, some of the guys that they drafted last year, to see what they turn out to be as some of the young guys dealt with injuries or didn't seem to catch on. How much better can this team be? Also, do you look at teams like the Chiefs taking a step back? Do you look at a team like the Broncos taking a step up? Do you look at the Raiders taking a step up? Where do you find yourself in this division? I'll still say I think the Chargers have more room for growth in this division than any other team in this division. I mean, people I know are Chiefs fans, Raider fans, Bronco fans will say I'm crazy, but I think this team could be that much better than they were even last year.
I think the Chargers can win the division for sure. I think the Chiefs are on the way down. Seems like they just get older and older. The more you look at their roster, you don't really know what's in the future for the Chiefs, and I hope they suck forever. But I agree with Dave. I think the Chargers team has the most room to grow. I'm not overly blown away by the Broncos roster, and I think the Raiders are still the worst team in the division. You look at it the same way, Mario?
I'm fascinated by what Kansas City is going to look like this year. I famously doubted them recently. They got bit, but Broncos is a team that fascinates me in a whole different way because of just their draft approach. I do think the Chargers are alive to win this division. I think this division's any man's. I think this, the AFC North and the NFC North, those three, I think you can make an argument for any team taking it. You have ours. Every coach has won a Super Bowl or been at one. The NFC North has every team's on the rise or has a young rising star at quarterbackers that's supposed to be. If you don't, you have the best receiving core in football. Then the AFC North, it's just Titan after Titan after Titan. And how many Coach of the Years are in that division? How many Super Bowl appearances are in that division? A freaking lot. So any of those three, man, if you're a gambling man, which some might be in this chat, any of those, you can kind of make an argument for either way of some team kind of making a run. But don't get me wrong, Death Lord 660. It should be 6'9" if you're funny. Raiders are definitely by far the worst.
Yeah, I don't see how the Raiders compete this year. I don't think there's anything the Raiders could have done in the draft to compete. As I'm looking at what he has to say, I like what the Raiders did. If you're a Raider fan, you should be excited about what you did. You got the best tight end in the draft a year ago. You got the best running back in the draft this year. Maybe some people are saying Hampton's better. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But at the same time, come on, Smith, stop joking. We're talking about a division where if you're a Raider fan, you got to face the Chargers twice, the Broncos twice, the Chiefs twice, and then you got to do the rest with everything else. This is not the Raiders here. It is not.
Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. So he gets drafted in the 5th round. I don't know if anybody saw the Chris Carter thing that came out. I thought it was really interesting. We broke it down why he believes he was drafted so low. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. How, from a scale of 1 to 10, Dave, how surprised were you that he fell to the 5th round?
10. At first 10, okay? And then not surprised after watching how it was playing out. It is. I could go on, guys, for 1 hour by myself on this because there's so many angles. Let me just start off by saying this. All right, I never root against a kid, and I always call everyone who's younger than me a kid. Okay, and he is. Unfortunately, when people say, is that reality? Well, the reality in his head is what he is surrounded with, and when you see people make mistakes in life all the time, big celebrities that make mistakes, it's because their perception is screwed up from what we all realize what is the truth. But whether you're, I don't want to start naming a bunch of guys that have been in trouble with the law. But my point is when you start thinking your perception is the truth and you're confused he was the only one that thought what he was doing was the right thing, whether he was coached by his father or coached by his environment growing up. To sit there and basically not go to a job interview, but expect to be named president of the company. I mean, that's kind of what he did, right? Refused to go to combines, refused private workouts, talked about his last name, talked about, do you know who my dad is? Nobody wants to hear, do you know who my dad is? I don't care who you are. That's such a turnoff to hear that. Do you know who my dad is? And when you sit there and you watch in the TV part of it, you're going, oh my gosh, you know, who's going to take him? Because I had him going to the Jets. You guys had him going to the Saints. And then I'll be honest with you, it was the greatest TV of all time. I mean, and if you're the NFL and you're like, nobody watches after day one, dude, you could not leave. I mean, even if you went to the grocery store, you had your phone on to look to see a Shedeur being taken because it became just a giant story. And then the prank call came in, which, by the way, I don't condone. I think that was absolutely ridiculous and unfair. But that was a whole nother storyline. Like if this was a 30 for 30, that prank call's in there. And then when you watch everything play out and he ends up that he goes to the Browns. Okay. And that's who Dion was talking about the entire time when he says there are going to be teams that he will not be going to. And then he ends up going to that exact team was ridiculous. Now, again, I could go on for another hour on the Browns being the Browns, because why would you take the quarterback from Oregon and then take Shedeur the same draft when you have a bunch of other guys in there? It's like that goddamn meme where everyone goes hands in, you know, on Family Guy, and then they push the guy with the wood hand out. You know what I mean? You know, like, no, not you kind of a deal. All the quarterback room is the weakest quarterback room in the history of the NFL. It's insane. So I'm almost done, Josh. I'm going to let you go. But the fact he ends up with the Browns is kind of crazy. The fact that the GM and the coach do the BS applause because it was the owner that made him take him. Neither one of those guys wanted Shedeur. It was owner made him take him. And then Shedeur gets drafted by the Browns, and instead of learning his lesson or being humbled, because basically this was a life lesson in humility, is the fact that he threw that giant party after his whole house is already painted a legacy all over the walls with the big Louis Vuitton bags and the stacks of cash in the bags. He didn't learn his lesson for anything. Like, that's who you want as the face of your franchise. If Justin Herbert did that, I would not be a Justin Herbert fan. And that's not what I want. I want to win football games. I care about the scoreboard. I don't care about anything else. Don't tell me legendary when the franchise you're going to has never been to a Super Bowl. And you're the guy that's going to come in and change everything around. Cam Ward, by the way, did it exactly the way you're supposed to do it. Exactly the way you're supposed to do it, who was drafted #1 overall. You see him tweeting everybody, man, every guy that was picked after him on his team. It was exactly the way it's supposed to go. That's a leader. That's what you're supposed to do. Shedeur's all about Shedeur. And I'll say it right now, and it's not going to be popular for a lot of people. Dude, I hope he fails miserably. I hope he fails miserably, and I hope he's a quarterback coach for his dad at some college somewhere afterwards, because his dad set him up, dude, as a horrible father. I'm sorry. That's horrible leadership. Okay?
I was never even close to being as good as Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. I played quarterback too, not even close. So I'm not going to pretend like I am. I will tell you a few things that I understood very young when I started to play quarterback. But everything's about the team, and I think there's question marks around Shedeur if everything was about the team for him as well, or if it was about him himself. I think that was a big knock on Shedeur, clearly. I think that's something that scared teams away. The way he conducted himself in the interview process didn't go over well. I don't think he should have fell to the 5th round. Based on his talent, I think he fell way too far. It's a joke as an Alabama fan that Jalen Milroe was drafted above him, because I've seen every game he's ever played, and he's not as good as Shedeur Sanders. I think this is a great lesson for kids or whoever hasn't been drafted yet. Conduct yourself in a way that a team would want you to conduct yourself in terms of caring about the team and not yourself. I think this is exactly what could happen if you make things about yourself. And Cam Ward working out with Shedeur proved to be the worst thing ever for Shedeur. How many millions of dollars did he lose based off of the way he acted in that interview or the workout with Cam Ward? It just went over terribly. I feel bad for the kid, but I think it's a great lesson for other kids going forward, if you're a quarterback specifically.
To be honest with you guys, I'm like completely fascinated by this story. I can't stop reading about it just because of all the different kind of factors at play, right? And like the different theories people have. Two that kind of stick out to me right away. One was Peter Schrager mentioned this, and I found it fascinating, and I'll bring it up to you guys. But he said maybe the media overranked, overhyped Shedeur Sanders. And he goes, and think about all the pull that Dion has in the media, right? He did that TV show for Amazon. He worked at NFL Network for 15 plus years. He even did stuff with Barstool, did stuff with ESPN. Like, he has media connections everywhere. And people can't get enough of Dion. People want him all the time. They want exclusive stuff from him. He's entertaining. He's entertainment. It's just what he is. So you have that factor into it. And I believe this was Albert Breer said this. And I, once again, something I marked down right away. He said that, Shedeur Sanders' career is most likely going to be him. I'm paraphrasing for him, but most likely will be a backup quarterback. When you're a backup quarterback, and Josh, you play the position, and you can attest to this. When you're the starter, the spotlight is on you, and it has to be on you because you are the starting quarterback. If the spotlight's on the backup, that's not good. That hurts the confidence of the starter. That's a distraction. And if you get Shedeur Sanders and he is your backup, that is distracting, because you don't know what he's going to say after a game if the starter's going to play pretty bad. And if you want an example of this, think of Cam Newton, right? When Cam Newton was a career backup, why did he suck at it? Because he thought he was still a starter. And he still thought he was better than everyone else. And they'd take the back seat and go, hey, I'm realizing I'm kind of past my prime. So those two things kind of fascinating about the whole thing. And last thing, before I say it to you, Dave, I'm kind of interested, guys. Do we see more QBs stay in college? Because Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders could make a lot more money if they stayed this year.
Yeah, well,
and that's
Quinn
if I'm
Ewers,
an agent, I would bring that up. I'm like, hey, you're going to be a 6th-round pick. We could do another year of football, make a couple mil, and then go to the NFL.
well, we saw what Georgia's quarterback did the same thing, right?
Yeah,
He went to Miami, did the same thing, and he was going to make more money doing that. It used to be a running joke, man. I think I did a rant on this a few weeks ago, but it used to be a running joke. This is before your time, but 1990, 91, UNLV had, all those guys that were ridiculous. Larry Johnson, Grandmama. It was always the joke was, why would Larry Johnson take a pay cut by going to the NBA? Because everyone thought UNLV was paying those guys. And now they are paying those guys. Everybody's getting paid. Right? That's where college sports doesn't feel like college sports anymore. If you're an old timer like me, it's not as fun as obviously the teams with the most money can afford to get the best players. It just changes a lot. So that being said, Quinn Ewers made a giant mistake. Okay. There are two comments here though in the chat to kind of irritate me. One is Uber says, I don't have my glasses on, man. So is that Uber Goober Jack? Shedeur uses popularity to monetize. Look, you can monetize your money by being a winner too. I mean, that's how I think sports fans want to see it. We want to see you win for the team, for the scoreboard, for the reason we buy the gear, by the reason we give our weekends up to follow you. We don't care about your bank account. I don't know a fan out there that goes, man, the more money this guy makes on the side, the more he's going to share with me. If you think that as a fan, you're nuts. And then Tay said right here, says, they hate to see a confident black young man. Who's they? That's what I want to know. Are you talking about us on the show, or are you talking about guys in the league? Because I just complimented Cam Ward. All right. And if we're talking about the league, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have guys that I don't think real sports fans, and call me naive on this, I don't think real sports fans see color. They see wins. We're to the point we're looking at wins. Everyone wants to see their team win. They don't care what color your quarterback is. And if you're going to sit there and make this about race with Shedeur, I don't think race is an issue in this situation. I just don't. I think this is a matter of attitude in the face of the franchise, and maybe his ability to actually be a good football player. Because guess what? These GMs want to keep their jobs. And if Shedeur was the best player in the draft and the best quarterback out there, teams would have taken him. But if you listen to what the Giants say about how he bombed that interview and how he was basically not professional when talking to Brian Dable, and he went to Cleveland and he bombed the interview the first time through, and he wasn't professional, and he's like, well, who's going to offer me the job of where I want to go? Guess what? Jerry Jones is friends with Deion Sanders. Jerry Jones didn't take him either. Tom Brady is friends with Deion Sanders. The Raiders didn't take him either. A lot of that has to do with the culture, especially when you have a new coach coming in and you're going, what is the culture that you're bringing in? Otherwise, you can see the door. We're going to bring another guy that will create a culture like the Chargers did. So this is a situation, man, I don't think is a race issue. And trust me, I call out race issues all the time. I call Josh all the time. Like, this is BS. It's a race. This is not a race issue, in my opinion. I think that in the NFL, more than any other sport, it's about winning and winning now.
He didn't win in college. I still think he should have went higher than a 5th-round pick. I really wish Shedeur Sanders would have taken the interview process more seriously and made less comments that he shouldn't have, because I think he's too good to go in the 5th round. I wish he would have just taken a little bit more serious. And I think Dion hurt him ultimately by retiring his number and all that stuff that went into it, the music videos. People just didn't like it for what it's worth. Obviously, I don't make the decision. I'm shocked that the Steelers didn't take him. I thought the Steelers had an opportunity to pick him so many times where it made sense. And the Raiders as well. And they just were turned off, apparently, by Shedeur. I don't know. I hope he gets his opportunity, man.
I'll get an opportunity there. Look who's competing against.
I was about to say, so we had a discussion last night. Who's going to have more of an impact the rookie year, Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders? And we all said Shedeur because like that QB room, he's going to play at one point. Kenny's going to blow it or he's going to get cut. Dylan Gabriel's probably going to get cut. Joe Flacco is 40. One hit, he's gone. Deshaun Watson, we've seen this dance before. How short of leash does he have even if he is a starter? And can he stay healthy? So he's going to play. So we'll see how good he is. And, hopefully he does see this as an opportunity to get better. An opportunity to have a bigger chip, a healthier chip.
Here we go. Tay Jackson, can you throw that comment up? Because he said it a couple times. He says Eli basically told the league what he wasn't going to do, and they let him come on. I'll tell you the difference between Eli and Shedeur. Eli took the whole draft process extremely serious, and he was respectful to the teams. His dad did the talking. His dad was the one that said, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. There was no point where Eli Manning was telling teams, I'm not going to play for you. And that's what Shedeur did, and it turned people off.
Eli went up there, by the way, held up the Charger jersey with the whole deal. Like he went through the whole process. And look, Archie Manning, and you can say whatever you want about Archie, he 100% was right. Right? I mean, he was right. Is that he goes, I had a career while I was on the New Orleans Saints and they couldn't protect me and I took a beating. The Chargers have never proven as an organization they're one of the quality organizations to protect my son. And that's why he was so vocal. And he also, if you remember, not only did Archie have a ton of money, Peyton had a ton of money. The Manning family, I remember at the time, because I was doing Charger talk every single day on the radio. The Peyton Manning and his dad, I think, had a combined like $256 million. They could afford for Eli to actually sit out a year and he wasn't going to miss a meal and he could have gone back in the draft. It wasn't BS. He 100% was not going to sign with the Chargers. I have no idea why the Chargers even played the game. Like, why would you play chicken with a guy that had all that money? But he ended up with Phillip Rivers out of it. But you also had Drew Brees also at the same time too. But again, the Manning family did that. Josh is right. One guy was professional, one guy wasn't. And look, again, if you want to make it about race, why didn't Mike Tomlin take him?
Yeah. All right. I think teams want to win, right? The quarterback's going to help them win. They should
want to win.
And they don't like distraction. You got to remember, NFL teams, they hate distractions.
Exactly right. Right? It's the
Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, he's a little bit of a distraction.
Nastiest thing going. And by the way, the Haslam family, Jimmy Haslam, the worst owners in the NFL are the Browns ownership and the Titans ownership. The Adams family has been a mess, and that is their name, the Adams family. Okay, I got it. It's a TV show. They're a complete disaster. Always have been. There was a talk a few years ago they were going to switch franchises, and I think both of them were like, both the fan base like, no. Haslam's brother used to be governor of Tennessee. Like, don't bring that family here. And Cleveland's like, we watched that Adams family since they were the Houston Oilers. Don't bring that family here. They're both disasters. But you could see the head coach and the GM of the Browns. Look at them clap when they drafted Shedeur Sanders. They look so disgusted of having to do something they didn't want to do.
All right, let's get back to the Chargers here. AK 499. He says, my bold prediction post-draft, Amari Hampton will be the AFC's best running back by week 9. I said it, and I do not care about Henry or Taylor. Let's go.
I think Gentry's gonna run away with.
Who's blocking for Gentry though?
They've improved their O-line a little bit, and Pete Carroll loves to run that freaking football, and they're gonna need to kind of extend the field. And Gentry's insane, so I think he's gonna be pretty damn good. That's my worry.
I was looking at like NFL, the draft profiles for these players. They say that Gentry's a perennial like all-pro running back, right? Like everybody else said. And they say Omari Hampton will be an above-average starter. I said, how? I mean, all these people are saying that they're closer than most people give them credit for, but yet they're saying that Omarion's a little bit above average or he'll be just an okay starter. I don't get that at all. I think Omarion's going to have a big time rookie year.
I do too. The fact you guys brought up the idea of how good he is at receiving the ball out of the backfield is outstanding. They have 2 running backs now that are great, have great hands, and it's such a big weapon. And look, when the Lions a few years ago drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, a lot of people thought they reached. It was way too early of a pick for Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is arguably the best running back in the league right now. I mean, how many Lions fans are disappointed by that pick early in the first round to get Jahmyr Gibbs? Great, right? So I think both the Raiders and Chargers did okay here with both those running backs. I saw someone just wrote Barkley will be the number 1 running back again. Look, man, I don't know. I'm a Dodger fan, and all I know is after they went to the White House, that team was completely jinxed for about 2 weeks. Barkley was just playing golf with Trump a couple days ago, and he might have jinxed his whole season. I have no idea what's going on, but I'll take my guy in Hampton for sure.
Here we go. JC AM 50 pesos says, Mario, would you bet Hampton for rookie of the year, or will the combo of our 2 running backs make it impossible?
So interesting. We were talking about this last night, but someone mentioned that would that be a worry? Remember that Greg Roman abandoned Gus Edwards pretty quickly last year. Just JK took majority of the snaps, majority of the plays, right? I could kind of see that happening this upcoming season with Amari and Hampton and Najee Harris, even though I think Najee's going to be a lot better than Gus. But Hampton's just going to have the hot hand. He's going to be such an explosive player. He's going to take majority of the snaps. Right now, Hampton is the 5th best to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's at 15-1. Out of all the rookies, I think he has the best opportunity to win an award next season. The only problem is, guys, is I think Tate is actually set up for a really, really nice rookie season over in Carolina, where it's a pretty soft division. You have a pass-first coordinator, and you have Bryce Young, who really took a step, and now he gets like a pretty decent weapon in there. So that's the guy I kind of lean towards besides Genty for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I don't think Hampton would be out of it just because of a 2-back system, Dave.
It's tough. I mean, I think it's tough, especially when you bring in a veteran like Najee. He's going to get his opportunities. I don't know. It's to me, that'll be pretty tough to win Rookie of the Year. I'm not a big individual award guy. I told you the guys that a long time ago. I would have said off the top of my head, I would have said Abdul Carter, but Abdul Carter, they were saying there are a lot of plays he takes off. I didn't see enough Penn State games where I saw him take plays off, but all of a sudden, that's the criticism. Now that we're, 5 days after the draft, people say he took plays off. Travis Hunter has to be up there. Cam Ward has to be up there if he can do anything inside of a weak division. But I'm not a huge fan as far as individual awards. I got it that people want to believe they made the right pick. I mean, hell, look at the Rams. They seem to have guys that are always up there for Rookie of the Year.
You got something, Mario?
No, I'm looking at the market now, and some of these are just numbers.
What is Vegas
absolutely stupid? Genty's a favorite at plus 250. He's actually tied with Cam Ward. Cam Ward's plus 250 as well. That's just because he's the only quarterback that's worth a damn at the top. Hunter's plus 550. Our friend Ryan Horvat's all over that. I wouldn't touch that because that's a pretty packed receiver room. I think Brian Thomas is going to look better. Trayvon Henderson at 20-1 is extremely fascinating. With the Pats, Rabes likes to run the damn ball. That's something, guys. I'm going to pull a DoorDash money on if I'm probably as soon as the show ends.
You're going to put money on the Patriots offense to do something?
Yes. It's won me a lot of money.
Over there. That's true.
Got 2.
There you go.
Not big.
AK 499 says my grade is A- because no guard early. I love my GM Herbert. Get some firepower, ready for an MVP season. San Francisco, get ready, Uncle Dave on my side. He says we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, what do you think, Dave?
I hope we are. I tell you, AK I think's been pretty right on with a lot of his opinions the last couple of weeks, man. I agree with AK on a lot of stuff. I don't disagree with that. By the way, speaking of San Francisco, I have no idea why they gave Kittle that extension and that money. I have no idea what's going on in that front office. Fred Warner and a bunch of those guys have to be going, what the hell is happening here? Look, I understand he led their team that was not a good team last year and receptions and touchdowns and whatever else. George Kittle is, to me, a hit-and-miss guy. Anyone who's ever had him in fantasy football, he disappears half the season.
I would never give him that money.
He's old, man.
Ever.
Isn't George Kittle like 31, 32 now?
Yeah.
And the way he plays, man, like a lot of contact. And I've heard through, some coaches that had him in the past too that there's not a lot left. So
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he fulfills that contract.
I
Hopefully he
wouldn't
does.
have been surprised if they call me crazy. Why didn't they draft Tyler Warren and then basically get rid of George Kittle?
I think they wanted Genty, right?
Genty would have been nice for him.
But Genty was gone by the time the Niners.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Raiders. You're talking about
the Niners.
Oh, I think the
Niners.
49ers have turned into one of the weirder teams when it comes to their decision making out of like nowhere. They were like the best, and now I question like everything they do.
Purdy's about to get paid $50 a year. That's coming.
It's a going rate.
All right, we got Brian Plant, $20. Thank you. Says, what's all your favorite draft picks relative to the round they were picked?
Dave?
Dude, I'm just drew a blank on his name. My favorite draft pick by far is a kid that went to Green Bay from Texas. The kid that hung out in that green room for
I think
3 days.
The Chargers. He's talking about the Chargers.
Yeah, talking about the Chargers.
I'm telling you right now, that was my favorite draft. That was the greatest story going. I thought that kid stayed there for 3 days. I thought it was cool as hell. And that Goodell had to come out and with the hat and give him the hug. I thought that was awesome because a lot of guys don't have the balls, man, to sit in that green room at all. I'm so embarrassed. What if my name's not called? What if the cameras are on me? That dude said, no, I'm going and I'll be there as long as it takes. Imagine if he didn't get drafted. Holy cow, man. That's nuts. My favorite pick I told you from the Chargers, though, was obviously Hampton. It was a steal to have him there. But I told you guys at the beginning of the show, in case you missed it, Kyle Kennard, edge rusher from South Carolina in the 4th round was my favorite pick.
Josh.
Yeah, I'm going to copy Mario's guy, Aronde Gadsden, just because he's a big body pass catcher.
Lambert Smith, Auburn. Something about that 4.3 speed. Maybe we can turn that into something. Maybe he can be a pretty big threat. So, and he's insanely competitive. That was something that a lot of scouts were reporting. They're like, guy's a nut job. I freaking love that. Give me a little competitiveness.
Finkter, $2 Canadian, says Oilers in 6.
Ooh.
I don't watch hockey.
Dude, I can't take it. I don't know why the Kings cannot close out a goddamn game. It is driving me freaking out of my mind. I'm a Kings fan. I know a lot of people probably in this chat are either you're a Kings or you're a Ducks fan. Damn it, man. Like, what happened? We gave it like 3 goals in a minute, 50 seconds. And we lost. It's 2-2. The series is 2-2. The Kings are going to make me stroke out. Damn it.
Sean Benford, $49.99. Wow. Thank you so much. No
Love
comment.
you, Sean.
I just wanted to give some money.
Is that real money?
Yeah.
It's Monopoly money. Cam Teague, 85, $9.99. He says, Kyle Kennard is my favorite pick as well, Dave. If you look at the last 7 to 8 SEC Defensive Players of the Year, we got us a good steal in the 4th round if he pans out to be the same. I said the same thing about Michael Sam. You got to get the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to make a big difference. Kyle Kennard, I think, what do you project? Like 4 or 5 sacks as a rookie? What would you expect out of him?
Dude, 4 or 5 sacks. I'm happiest man on the planet.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm telling you, man. I go back to watching him. He was so disruptive against even Alabama. As I said, the time I watched him the most, dude, they were double, triple him, team throwing everything at that guy, and they could not stop him. I think Alabama only won that game by like 2 points because of that one guy on defense. By the way, am I have short-term memory or not? The one where Sean just gave us $49.99. Did you read his question, or did I miss it?
He didn't have a question. It's just money.
What? I got it right here. What are we talking about?
Okay, what is it?
Oh,
Read it.
jeez. He's bringing out the glasses.
I have to.
Put up Sean's comment again so Dave can read it.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, read that first.
It's nothing there. Well, are you guys looking on the side with me?
Okay,
that's what he has
about?
underneath.
Dude,
we all have preferred to trade down with the Eagles for Will Johnson and potentially another second or third round pick for him, 22.
Well, first off, Dave, you went out of order. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going in order here. Okay.
Well,
Jesus
sorry.
Christ.
I didn't have my glasses on. I don't tell you.
Dude, how about you just keep the glasses on, okay? Nobody here is going to make fun of you for having your glasses on.
Why don't you just wear them the whole
You're
damn show if
married.
you can't read?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pick people up online. I'm not. It's not for
Keep
my
the
genius.
glasses.
I don't like
Okay.
Kelvin, yeah.
You're a little bit of a Dave rant. That does drive me insane when I'm with my parents and they're like, I just can't read. And then they
Dude.
put on the glasses. I'm like, just
Dude,
put
it
them on the
sucks.
whole damn time. Just hold the
Nah.
whole time.
No,
It
no.
sends
It's
me up the
different. Actually,
hill.
these are real glasses, but the deal is your glasses your parents are wearing, they're readers. So they can't read a menu without them. So they got to pull them out. But you can't even walk to the bathroom with them on. You'll fall right over. It's like being drunk, but
All right,
it's all
figure
for
it out.
letters.
It's 2025. I mean, goddamn.
Dude, all I'm telling you is the letters look like ants. All right?
God
Damn
dang
it. You laugh,
All right.
dude. We'll see you in 17 years, Mario, when all of a sudden you can't read a goddamn menu. At least I'm not
All right.
wearing it around my neck with a goddamn chain. Like my grandmother.
Kelvin Gaddis, $10. He said, feel the same way about this draft as I did last year. Mostly confident, but 30 years of being a Charger fan has me feeling like I hope they know what the F they're doing. I actually do feel like I know what the F they're doing. I know we question them all the time because that's what we do on the show, but I feel confident. This team's definitively better now than they were before the draft, without a doubt.
Let me ask you a question. Out of all the guys they have, front office coaches, who's your one concern? Do you have a concern?
People in the front office?
No, front office coaches, everything that Jim Harbaugh touches, basically. Where's your concern? I got the one guy that everyone's gonna say, look, if there's one person you're concerned about, we all wonder, is Greg Roman the right guy?
I never
love
trust anybody with two first names. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Right. We love our defensive coordinator. We love our head coach. We love our GM. We want to know, when this team wins a Super Bowl, is Greg Roman going to be there?
He might be there, but he'd just be in the stands. All right. Young West, $5 says, you think Herbert burnt his brisket because he couldn't believe the Chargers finally got some effing weapons. Took 4 years, but finally we got guys who can catch. To be seen. Okay.
To be seen is right.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anybody can catch until they play in an NFL game because QJ was supposed to be able to catch. I do believe Trey Harris can catch and Keandre Lambert-Smith and Gadsden, but to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I'm with you.
Sean Ben. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, Sean. I'm sorry.
Sean, $49.99. I hope you didn't pay twice, Sean, but if you did, we really appreciate it.
I hope he did.
Yeah, you can get Dave some glasses that can, read and walk at the same time.
He says, would you all have preferred a trade down with the Eagles for Will Johnson and potentially another second or third round pick, or Hampton at 22 straight up? It's a great question. What do you got, Mario?
Oh, my gosh. So I actually was thinking maybe Will Johnson be taking the first pick. I was just sticking with Hampton at 22 straight up. I think Hampton's going to be a great Charger. I think when his career's all said and done, he's going to be a Ring of Honor type of guy, jersey retirement. That's why I think the type of player O'Marion Hampton is. So I would have stayed and just taken him no matter what.
I'm fine with Hampton, what we have. Will Johnson, I thought obviously like everyone else is going to go earlier. That guy has a lot to prove. You hope his body holds up.
Yeah, I'm cool with the pick. Will Johnson, I don't think I would have taken that risk. Everybody says that injury is worse than was initially believed to be. So I'm cool with the O'Marion Hampton. I think, like Mario said, he's going to actually be one of the better Chargers for the next 5 years, how long he's here. All right. Ryan Culpepper, $2 says, favorite undrafted free agent. Do you have somebody, Mario or Dave, that jumps out to you?
No.
I don't know. Hear me out. He caught my eye because shout out D3 Dreams, former Division I athlete, wide receiver, Leon Johnson, Oklahoma State. Where's number 17? That just hit a bunch of at-home courts. So yeah, dude, this guy's a freaking beast. So if he makes a roster, you can expect a little jersey. I'm going to buy the jersey and then we'll give it away on the show. Leon Johnson. And we're going to have him on and I'm going to tell him I love him.
All right, I'm going to go just kind of a random person here. I'm going to go Josh Kaltenberger, the center from Maryland. The only reason why is because he came from Purdue and he transferred to Maryland. So anybody from Purdue, I immediately think of Nick Hardwick or Drew Brees. And we desperately need a center, and I don't trust anybody on the roster today.
Those two guys and Andrew Scheib. Shout out Purdue. Yeah,
by the way, anyone who goes to undrafted guys, half this league is undrafted players. I mean, don't sit there and just think they're throwaway guys just waiting to get cut. It happens all the time. Guys are undrafted, make it in the NFL. Hopefully the Chargers did a good job finding the right guy.
Leon Johnson.
Okay.
All right. We'll go straight to Dave on this one. This is from Mike G, $5. He said, a few weeks back, you guys agreed with me that we need at least 3 starters in this draft. Do you think the Chargers accomplished that?
Ooh, that's a good question, Mike. Did we get 3? Hold on, let me go back and look real quick. Hampton, yeah. Trey Harris, yes. Yeah, I think we did. We got our tight end. I think we got a tight end, right?
I don't think he's going to start.
I think he's going to start a lot of games. I mean, a lot of snaps. You don't think he gets the majority of the snaps? I hope he does.
He's not even a tight end. That's the weird thing. But I think he's going to play a lot. I agree with you. I agree.
I mean, does he get a lot of snaps where you go, does he get 2 out of 3? Are we running the ball 2 out of 3 times, or are we passing the ball 2 out of 3 times?
Probably running it, but probably didn't want to hear that, did you? I'm going to take away the whole starter tag. I'm going to talk about guys that we drafted that I believe are going to play a lot. Omari and Hampton, obviously. Trey Harris is a starter, and he's going to play a lot. I think Jamari Caldwell is going to be rotated all the time on the defensive line. Kyle Kennard is going to be rotated in to play edge. Lambert Smith should get some run, and then Gadsden. 4 or 5 guys for sure, I think, are going to be playing a lot.
Yeah.
4 or 5 different difference makers, I think, could be another way to say that.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right. Do we have a Dave rant?
Yeah, I'll give you a Dave rant real quick. All right. It's I know I always got something that irritates me all the time. It just happened about an hour ago. I was unloading the dishwasher. And you know what happens when you unload the dishwasher? One of the things you got to put away is you got to put away the coffee cups. Okay. I got one right here. I was drinking out of it during the show. Here's the deal with coffee cups, because people give them to you all the time as you get older as like gifts. Hey, I think you'd like this Dodger coffee mug. Yeah, I do. I do like it. Guess what? The other ones I have, none of them are the same size as this one. Okay. None of them are the same size, period. So every time I put a mug away out of the goddamn dishwasher and you try and put them on the shelf, you realize they're all different sizes, and you got to start stacking them on top of each other. Next thing you know, you're playing damn Jenga inside your cupboard, hoping none of them fall over. Like, there has to be a universal coffee mug size. What are we doing here? And I'll tell you right now, I drink a lot of coffee. Why don't we just go with big? Everyone just start making big, giant coffee mugs. That's it. Like, we could either put soup in it or ice cream or coffee. But the fact they're all different, and dude, I swear to God, you serve me a little coffee mug, little coffee cup like I'm at Denny's, where I just have like 8 million white ones. I don't want that. But at the same time, give me a coffee mug I can actually drink coffee out of. Makes a damn difference. But the deal is they're all different sizes. So you start stockpiling. If you open the damn door, all of a sudden someone's going to fall on the floor and they'll break all over the place. You know what it's like picking that up, thinking you got all the pieces? You never do. Because then you walk in there 3 days later, barefoot, you step on one, sticks right in your foot, and you're like, that sucks. I feel it. I feel it. I can't even get it out. All right. So I'm starting a campaign that all coffee mugs are the same freaking size, so I can put them away peacefully and at the same time give me enough to wake me up. Good God. What is this, 1956? We go to someone's house and they have the little coffee mug. And that's not doing anything. What are we doing? Shots of coffee? Not doing anything. Is that too much to ask for a normal big size coffee mug, universal size? What the hell are we doing here? Imagine if every one of your glasses were the same way. Can you imagine that? Every one of your glasses, all different sizes. It's weird. Or plates, different sizes, all of them different sizes. You have 2 size plates, right? You got
How many coffee mugs do you have?
A lot.
A lot, dude. I throw a lot of them away every year.
Dude, okay.
I throw a lot away. But
send them my way. I have 0.
My kid made me one, not Josh. His brother made me one when he was a little kid, like one of those you go to like those the things spin like out of the movie Ghost, whatever, you make your own
clay.
Yeah, like clay, whatever. And he made me one, and he painted it light blue, and he put UCLA on it, made a UCLA coffee mug. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but dude, if you touch that thing, it is 1,000 degrees at all times. It is, your skin will fall right off of your hand the second you touch it, no matter what. It could be sitting there to cool down for 3 days. It was still going to be hot as hell. You were going to burn yourself. I don't know why they would have a kid make that for their parents. It was the worst gift of all time.
I do agree. There's nothing more frustrating than when you have a coffee mug and you put it under it, and it's like it fills it like about halfway, but it's at the biggest size on the whatever thing, and you're just like, now I have to like slowly sip it and not burn the living snot on my lip, and you burn it, you're like, ah! You know, like, and then you're just angry, tired, and you can't drink your caffeine. I hate that.
I don't know. I remember as a kid, my sister went to Disneyland, and for some reason she grabbed a straw with hot chocolate and burnt the hell out of her mouth. I just remember her screaming. That's another thing, right? You burn that tongue, it's like sandpaper for like 4 days. You can't stop rubbing it against the roof of your mouth. Is it gone? Is it gone? No, it's
Dude,
not gone. It's not gone. It's so burnt.
I remember I was driving my buddy. I had to work in the morning, and it was like when I first graduated college, and I was holding the mug while driving. I hit a bump, and I was driving my buddy home. It was like hungover, and it went all over my lap, and it was burning. And I got so mad I threw the mug at him, and then the rest of it got on him. It was just two kids and a hungover in a car screaming at each other that are just burning inside. And that was our personal hell. And we got out of the car, fist fought for a little bit, and I said, "I'll see you later, Nick." And he said, "See you, buddy."
Dude, when I oh yeah, there you go. This is crazy. When I was in high school, a buddy of mine used to always come over to my grandmother's house and smoke in my grandmother's garage, and not the legal stuff. I was never a smoker. And so he's sitting there and he's all the way to the very end. I'm like, dude, I don't think there's anything in that thing. And he's like, there's something in it. This is the best part, he's telling me. I'm like, all right. And I'm as close as I am to this screen right here. And he puts it against his mouth and he burns his lip and he spits it out because it burned his face. It stuck right in my cheek, dude. It left a scar, dude, for like 3 years. I don't even smoke. I got burnt by a goddamn roach. Damn it. Damn it. That's what would happen if I was hanging out with Mario in high school.
Yeah, dude. The DARE program.
Damn it. There you go. Friendly fire.
Oh, that's good.
There you go. All right. We out of here?
Yeah. Here.
You got something else, Josh? You better look at Brett, say something.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So look, we're going to be back on Thursday, 12 o'clock Pacific time. Again, 1 hour earlier than normal. I want you to like and subscribe to the show. Again, Mario explained at the beginning why the opening wasn't there, but the opening will be back as soon as we go through all the correct paperwork. But I appreciate everyone that loved the opening. I did too. It was really cool. Great job. And you guys that listened to that draft show, man, the numbers were gigantic for that. So I appreciate that as well. So again, we'll be back on Thursday, 12 o'clock Pacific time. Thanks so much. Appreciate all the comments on the side. For Mario Heron, Josh Palais, I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you soon.